What is Idle No More? In order to answer this question, we must first unpack its origins. Bill C-45 was a bill passed by the Harper government in 2012. This document infringes upon treaty rights. First Nations peoples whose ancestors signed peace treaties with the colonial and Canadian governments have treaty rights. Treaty rights typically provide for reserved lands, annual payments, and hunting, trapping, gathering, and fishing rights. Bill C-45 sought to allow First Nations to lease out/surrender reserved lands based on votes taken at a single meeting, rather than a majority vote from an entire First Nations community. So, Idle No More was created. The movement was initiated by activists Nina Wilson, Sheila McLean, Sylvia McAdams Sesewaham, and Jessica Gordon in November 2012, during a teach-in at Station 20 West in Saskatoon. Now, after years of First Nations rights being maltreated, you may be thinking, why this bill in particular? In Canada, we are all treaty people, but it appears only one group has held up their end. To Indigenous communities, these treaties are respected and meant to aid in maintaining an equilibrium between the colonizers and the colonized. However, the colonizers do not have the same respect. When this bill was passed, it symbolized the lack of respect the government holds for the Indigenous communities. Within Indigenous culture, women and youth are highly respected. Women are free to run councils and are seen as healers for the community. The people responsible for this movement were women, as well as being led by women. Now you may be thinking, that's great, but what did it do? Well, the Idle No More changed over 400 pages. The Jobs and Growth Act affected over 60 acts, including the Indian Act, the Navigable Waters Protection Act, and the Environmental Assessment Act. Now, what are important events to note? October 18, 2012, Bill C-45 is introduced in the House of Commons. It is an omnibus budget bill that includes changes to the Indian Act and limits protection waterways to only a few lakes and rivers. Many First Nations are against the new bill because they are not consulted, according to the Carleton Public Policy Professor Robert P. Shepherd. November 10, 2012. 4 women hold a small conference in Saskatoon titled Idle No More, in protest of Bill C-45, according to the CBC. Sylvia McAdams, Nina Wilson-Fred, Jessica Gordon, and Sheila McLean create a Facebook group and website. November 17, 2012. Throughout the week, teach-ins and protests are held in other cities, including Regina, Prince Albert, and Winnipeg, according to Idle No More's website. December 10, 2012. The movement holds a National Day of Action, igniting protests in Vancouver, Saskatoon, Whitehorse, and other cities, according to Idle No More's website. December 11, 2012. Chief Teresa Spence of the Attawapsikai First Nations begins a hunger strike, according to a press release. Her diet will only consist of tea, lemon water, and fish broth until Prime Minister Stephen Harper and Governor General David Johnston agree to meet with her. She stays in a teepee on Victoria Island near Parliament Hill. December 14, 2012. Bill C-45 passes through the Senate with a vote of 50 to 27, according to the Parliament of Canada's website. It receives royal assent and becomes law. December 21, 2012. A protest is held on Parliament Hill. Amjinwanag First Nations blocks a railroad near Sarnia, Ontario, according to CBC. The blockade continues for 2 weeks. December 30th, 2012. Peaceful protests break out in Toronto, Calgary, and Victoria. Protesters also block a train track near Marysville, Ontario, delaying 2,000 passengers, according to a VIA Rail press release. January 4th, 2013, Prime Minister Stephen Harper announces in a statement he will meet with the Assembly of First Nations on January 11th. A spokesperson for Spence released a statement saying the chief will not eat solid food until after the meeting. Chief Spence announces that she will not attend the meeting because Prime Minister Stephen Harper and First Nations leaders because Governor General David Johnston won't be attending, according to CBC. January 7th, 2013. Idle No More organizer Tanya Capo said there will be a nationwide event on January 11th and January 28th, ranging from teach-ins to flash mobs to protests. January 8th, 2013, Mikisew Cree and 2 Frog Lake First Nation challenged parts of the government's omnibus bill in court, according to CBC. They are asking for a review of the environmental provisions in the bill. January 9, 2013, flash mob brown dances are held at the Carleton University and the University of Ottawa. The Indigenous and the Canadian Studies Students Association of the U of A drafts a list of demands for the decolonization of the campus, including teaching Algonquin and Mohawk languages and increasing Indigenous scholarships. January 11, 2013, after 2 weeks of back and forth, the meeting between Stephen Harper and Aboriginal leaders goes ahead. Some Indigenous leaders boycott the meeting to protest the absence of Governor General David Johnston. Idle No More protesters mass on Parliament Hill. Now, the last thing you might be thinking is, how does this affect me? In today's society, climate change is the largest issue we are facing globally. While major corporations are increasing global warming and loss of water supply, Indigenous people are fighting to protect their natural resources and Mother Earth. So while there are people out there fighting for their rights and the right of our Earth, how are you going to help?